Good morning. I am Mary Holly Allison, and it's my pleasure to serve as today's worship associate for this service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County, also known as UUFCC. I've been a member of this fellowship for almost 20 years and a former worship associate. But today I serve as for the first time in a long time, as my husband and I moved to Tucson almost 5 years ago. We will now spend part of our time in Northport, so I'm thrilled to again serve as a worship associate part-time. I'm a short white woman with gray and brown speckled hair, wearing a particularly important pink t-shirt. Yes, with Mouseketeer ears and rainbow. Let's hear it for Disney Pride. June is Pride Month, and you'll hear more about that as we move through the service. This service is being broadcast live via YouTube. I wish to express my gratitude to those supporting technology this morning. I want to say Corey helps usually, but Tom's here by himself today, so yay, Tom, thank you. And decorators, did you notice this last week, this enchanted area up here? I'd like to thank Cheryl D., Laura L., and Sue B. Also, a big thank you to Ryan and Janet and members of the UUFCC choir for this morning's music. I'd like to remind you of a couple of simple procedures that will help this service run smoothly. To respect and protect everyone's privacy, it will be our practice to use only first names and, when helpful, last initials. You may wish to have a chalice or a candle available for a chalice lighting ritual if you're at home. Please put your cell phones in mute or turn them off here in the sanctuary. And at the end of the service, following a special event, we will gather for social time, and we do appreciate those coffee makers and all who bring refreshments. You'll have a chance to sign up today if you'd like to help. See your back of the order of service. In the name of compassion and loving kindness, we open our hearts to accept all kinds of people. For those who seek, our hearts have become church, temple, synagogue, mosque, and sanctuary. For those who are hurting, we reach out to share your pain. For minorities or the forgotten, wherever you may come from, we welcome you here. We, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County, believe in the religion of love, which prioritizes no color, no language, no nationality, no gender or identity or sexuality. We honor the truth in all personal stories. Our religion is about love and inclusion. We'd like to acknowledge any newcomers that might be here this morning. Do we have any visitors or people that would just like to stand and say their name and where they're from? Yes, okay, you don't have to force them if they don't want to, but we'd love for you to say your name and where you're from. Okay. Okay, Jonathan, welcome this morning. Nice to have you. Anyone else that's either visiting or hasn't been here for a long time? I'm just saying, I know there's a few faces, but okay, yes. Okay, what's your first name? I'm sorry. Randy and Karen, we welcome you. And, yeah. Fossil Bill, always nice to see you. Okay. Any people that are heading off for the summer that we won't see again for a while that want to say farewell? We kind of like to keep track of people. It's kind of hard. If you are new here and would like to learn more about our fellowship, you can speak to our president, Dennis Shaw. Our office is closed for the month of June, so Dennis, could you just raise your hand so they know? Or a board member. If you're a board member, I like to put you on the spot. Just feel free to talk to most anybody and find out how to get more involved. And I'd like for you to, we're a small group today, and I think that's nice, but I'd like for you to share a welcome with someone near you. Just take a look. You can stand up or you can stay seated. Take a look into their eyes. No handshakes today, but say your name, welcome, and good morning, and I'll call you back with the bell. It's welcoming time. Good morning. I think it's important that we get a chance to look each other in the eye and say good morning. Our service today is about forgiveness and grace, and it's also about pride. We are glad that each of you are here with us this morning. We'll now have the prelude. Beautiful, Ryan. Thank you. It is time to now light the chalice, and this morning's chalice lighting words are by Reverend Marjorie Killeran, and I'll need your help. I will read a line, and then I'll say, then you'll say, we light this chalice. So let's try it. We light this chalice. Okay, thank you. Get ready. Every time we make a mistake and we decide to start again, we light this chalice. For every time we are lonely and let someone be our friend, we light this chalice. For every time we are disappointed and we choose hope, we light this chalice. And now, as Linda P. lights our chalice here in the sanctuary, and those of you at home light your chalices or candles, join me in the recitation of our affirmation. And I believe it's in your order of service. Yes. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our aspiration, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. And now, please rise in body or spirit to sing number 205 in the gray hymnal, Amazing Grace. I have chosen for opening words by Reverend Leslie Takahashi. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a deeper joy, in this life we share. And June is Pride Month. It really does, to talk about pride, really does speak to at least two of our UU principles, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and the goal of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And a bit about Pride Month. I had the good fortune to be educated as a young woman by my gay brother Arthur. I realize that not everyone has the advantage of knowing the history, so I'll share a brief quote from GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network. Quote, "As Pride ramps up, it is always worth reminding people that Pride started as a protest. In 1969, the Stonewall riots marked a pivotal turning point in the LGBTQ plus movement. LGBTQ plus people, led by trans women of color, chose to rise up and fight back against police brutality at the Stonewall Inn in New York City. In 1970, the first Pride Parade was held on Christopher Street in New York City. Organized as a political protest to fight for LGBTQ plus rights, this event exemplified the power and passion that the LGBTQ plus community has when we band together." End quote. With the current onslaught of attacks on our LGBTQ plus young people, it is more important than ever to be reminded of our collective power and the importance of allies. This month, the UUA posted a message, I think the picture's there, with this message by Liberal Jane. "Now more than ever, we must find the strength to live our truth unapologetically. We must find the force of will to fight like hell. May we give strength to each other during the season of Pride, to find joy and to continue the work of justice." The UUA also put out a blessing, and Tom is hoping that we're going to get to see this video. It's really a video for love and solidarity with the trans and non-binary people. Quite powerful.
This is a message to trans and non-binary people across the United States, to the parents of trans and non-binary kids, and to everyone who's showing up at state legislatures across the country, fighting the wave of anti-trans legislation that's sweeping this nation. We see you.
I see you putting our faith into action with your unwavering love and belief in the worth and dignity of trans kids. And we are here to remind you that you are not alone.
And you should know that Unitarian Universalists across the country, we have your back.
It's so hard right now. I read the stories of legislatures and politicians and people seeking attention, using your lives, your heart, your body as political pawns, as punching bags, literal and figurative.
Fearing politicians will use your kids as political pawns, will force you to move states, uprooting your lives, all because you want your kids to thrive, to receive medically necessary health care, to play sports, to be themselves, to be safe, to feel loved and wanted as they deserve.
It is exhausting and frustrating. It is scary sometimes.
Every day you are feeling the weight of hateful lies pushing on you and on those kids that you love. We see you showing up to protest and to testify and to organize and to lobby. Thank you for showing up for our values. Thank you for fighting for trans and non-binary kids. And I know that for you, just like for me, this isn't some kind of abstract agenda.
There are folks in my congregation here who are trans, who are non-binary, who are going to be the direct recipients of the work that you're doing.
Thank you from trans members of my congregation. Thank you from parents of trans kids in my congregation.
Thank you for being in this. When everything feels like it's arrayed against you, when it feels like you take one step forward and two steps back, it gives me hope that you're out doing this work, as draining as it can be sometimes, We see you and we care for you, and we're so, so grateful for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
At Unitarian Universalism, we believe that every person is beautiful as they are and as they are becoming.
That your life is sacred, your body is sacred, just as you are, and that they're wrong. They're wrong, they're cynical, they want you to give up, and love is stronger than their fear.
Too often, people of faith end up on the side of hatred and discrimination towards LGBTQ+ people. But that ends here.
Trans kids are not political pawns. Trans kids are divine.
We have a long tradition at UUFCC of sharing our joys and sorrows and life milestones by entering them into the Book of Life. This red book, thank you, Trudy. This red book sits on the back of the back table, and you're welcome to add anything you'd like. If you aren't planning to be in the sanctuary, you can also email your joys, sorrows, and personal milestones to bookoflife@uufcc.org. And the messages should be sent no later than the Saturday prior to the service. So I've got a couple to read from email. And first, I'd really like to say to all our trans youth and those who are fearing for their lives in various states with new state laws, blessings to those. For the Wansittler family on the loss of their mother, Mary Ann. Ryan, sorry about that. For all those directly involved in the recent Richmond, Virginia graduation shooting, I want to express my sorrow. Thank you, Dennis. Yesterday was Sue and Q's 34th anniversary. As a token of Sue's affection for the old guy, Sue, she gave him a used bottle of stool softener. Well, now that's a gift. Also, a little bit of a sorrow here. Roxanne, some of you know, she went up to visit Peg and was she didn't get to see Peg due to Peg's and her daughter's illness. Then Peg took a fall on a curb and was hospitalized and now sent to rehab. So Roxanne mailed off the cards and gifts from people here that sent them and was finally able to talk to Peg via Zoom this past. So her joy is Peg's now doing fine, just a small bruise. You know, you can't keep Peg down, I tell you. She wanted Roxanne to thank all of you for your kind words and wishes, and especially thanks to the person who sent the non-skid slippers. I don't know about that, but sounds like a good idea. Roxanne was able to tell while Zooming with Peg that she looks good. Most importantly, that wonderful sense of humor of hers was very present, says Roxanne. So I also got an email from Joe O, and he got that here somewhere. Oh, yep, okay. Joe had, well, I think he had, yeah, his foot, and then he had surgery and it got infected, and it's been back and forth, and it's on my iPad, but I don't have it printed up. So please keep Joe in your hearts, and he's optimistic. He's getting optimistic but it's touch and go now. So whether and I'm really sorry that I don't have it. But I will post it in the Book of Life. So I think that's all this morning. May we hold these and one another in love and tenderness so that this fellowship may be a source of strength and comfort, courage and hope in the days and weeks ahead. Now let us have a time of silent prayer or meditation, and we'll be called back from our silence with a bell, followed by singing hymn Teal Book 1002, Comfort Me. So let's have that, get your teal books ready, and let's have that moment of meditation. To read Joe's message. Just like to read Joe's message. Sounds like a doctor to me. I am recovering from revision surgery at Mass General Hospital. Multiple fractures in foot, operated then infected post-op in Florida, flew back to Boston, improving, but not sure yet how long recovery will be. Minimum 6 to 8 weeks of IV antibiotics followed by physical therapy. Possibly longer if more surgery is needed. Best wishes to you all, says Joe. And now, it is time to introduce our speaker this morning, Robert Moran. Please come up. He has been with this fellowship a fairly long time, and I've known Robert ever since I moved to to Punta Gorda years ago. It's great to have you speaking with us this morning, Robert.
Thank you.
You have to raise that up.
Okay.
A little taller than me.
Good morning. Well, I'll start off by saying that Peggy Don asked me not to use her name during this talk. And I just did this to show how unaware sometimes our actions are toward other people without really knowing it, even though I knew it. Okay, this is a Unitarian Universalist congregation. We are all the same, and we are all different. There are many different personalities here, and in a UU fellowship, everyone has equal rights. And everyone has a beautiful but different opinion on almost everything. So you think we're not going to have disagreements? The richness of this UU community is the freedom to be ourselves. This is a place where we can interact and have intelligent conversations and sometimes emotional discourse. It may be uncomfortable to think this, but not all of us Unitarians are perfect. Some of us may have a few flaws here and there. And make sure you put me and you on that list. So let's play a game. I'm going to make a statement or ask a question. If you agree or disagree to the statement or question, just acknowledge that to yourself. Here goes. Do you support the inherent worth and dignity of every person? Do you enjoy driving on 41? Do you believe in justice, equality, and compassion in human relations? Do you enjoy the beauty of a snake? Do you believe in acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation? Do you support women's rights? The free and responsible search for truth and meaning? Do you take time to smell the flowers and appreciate the beauty of insects? I just saw someone save an insect by taking them outside. Do you respect the independent web of existence for which we are all a part? And number 10, do you on occasion think about what you're going to say while another person is talking? Now imagine with every question or statement, there is a string that goes to everyone who agrees with each statement. There are 10 strings, and I bet each of you are connected to most of those strings. You don't have to count a snake. This is how we are all connected on a deep level. The important stuff. We also have another string, the string of disappointments that we have experienced in this fellowship over the last several years. First, the loss of Reverend Amy. Lots of sadness. Then the loss of Reverend Dan, some for his departure and some sad with his departure. Then Jim Boyle leaving. Most of this during the pandemic and a major hurricane. Feelings were hurt in each of these events. I went to Miami a few years ago to experience the Van Gogh Immersive. The art was an incredible experience, but I came back with a valuable gift. An unexpected gift from Van Gogh is a quote. Let's not forget that the little emotions are the great captains of our lives, and we obey them without realizing it. Van Gogh uses little emotions in his quote. From my perspective, sometimes those little emotions are very powerful, and take control of my thoughts and actions. And like Van Gogh says, they become the captain of my life without me realizing it. Let's talk about forgiveness as a bridge to connection. That's an easy word to say, forgiveness. But just what is forgiveness? Gandhi over here on this sign says that forgiveness is for the strong, not for the weak. I don't exactly know what he means by that, but I have a good idea. The short definition is a decision a person makes not to hold resentments over someone who said or did something that hurt our feelings or harmed us. I'm going to read that again. The short definition is a decision a person makes to not hold resentments over someone who said or did something that hurt our feelings or harmed us. Sometimes if we try to understand where the other person is coming from is the first hurdle toward forgiveness. Like a person who did something that you disagreed with, but was coming from an entirely different point of view. Reverend Dan is a good example. Some of us had a positive experience with Reverend Dan. Others had a negative experience with Reverend Dan. Each person, regardless of their position on Reverend Dan, was doing what they perceived as what was best for themselves and the best thing for this fellowship. I'm going to say that one again. Each person, regardless of their position on Reverend Dan, was doing what they perceived as was best for themselves and the best thing for this fellowship, regardless of your point of view. I was hurt and sad. I thought about leaving the fellowship. I asked myself, what's the best thing I can do for me? I also asked myself, what's the best thing I can do for this fellowship? Yes, I actually asked myself those questions several years ago. I came to the conclusion that the best thing I can do for this fellowship is also the best thing I can do for me. And understanding and accepting that the decisions were made with good intentions for the fellowship, regardless of how wrong I thought those decisions were. My own expectations are the root of all my disappointments in my life. This opened myself up for forgiveness and to drop the baggage of resentment. This forgiveness stuff is not easy. Forgiveness is also a personal agreement not to be a victim and to not live as a victim. This is a personal choice each of us make. As unfair as that sounds, I have found it to be so true. Forgiveness has nothing to do with apologies from someone else. Forgiveness for me is accepting and using my personal power to take charge of those feelings that are the great captains of my life, just as Van Gogh said. And forgiveness is a gift that we give ourselves. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. What I do for myself when I have a disagreement with anyone, I have to clear my thoughts, my rambling thoughts, and think about the conflict from the start, every little part. Then I look at my part. This is tricky because I tend to overlook some of my little parts that I don't think are important. Isn't that convenient? So I have to be brutally truthful with me, and that is often very uncomfortable. I do not need or expect an apology from the other person. I'm doing this for me. If I feel I should apologize to the other person for my part, that's up to me. The only way this will work for me is if I own my part in the disagreement. Regardless of how right I think I am or how small I think my part is. I find that being honest with me is my biggest challenge. What happens with me after I come to terms and take responsibility for my part, the angst that I had against the other person, slowly just goes away. I really don't know where it goes. Sometimes I think it goes to Pluto. But it's not rambling around in my head anymore. And I have to tell you that I have played a part in almost every problem I've ever had in my life. As for Reverend Dan, I had high expectations, and that was a setup for my disappointment. I still care for and feel connected to Reverend Dan, flaws and all. In watching a Nova documentary on the brain, they explained how the brain looks for things that please us and we agree with. I was looking for information on confirmation bias when I ran across this part of the documentary on the brain. Our brain actually has an automatic switch to look for things that are a part of our character and who we think we are. It was amazing. I mean, that floored me. But just being aware of this helps me think more clearly. Bill Clinton said, when meeting someone, look for how we are alike, not how we are different. That's a good practice to use with everyone all the time. Look for how we are alike, not how we are different. Through my 12-step program, I learned that I am not in charge of the way things ought to be. And just like taking Alka-Seltzer, oh, what a relief that is. When the first time I walked through this door of this fellowship, I felt a connection. I still do feel that connection. The thread that connects us all, I believe, is the 7 covenant agreements of the Unitarian Universalist. My intention is to be aware of my big, little feelings and keep the thread of fellowship as my highest priority. So will you give yourself a valuable gift of forgiving? Will you? That's up to you. May it be so. Thank you.
And now to answer Robert's question, you get to decide if you want to accept an invitation that we have. You might have noticed, or maybe you didn't, little pieces of paper on the rows of the chairs, little slips like this. And we're going to, if you would like, we're going to invite you to write something on that paper that's something you'd like to let go of. Release it. Someone you'd like to forgive. Maybe it's yourself. So if you're sitting on the aisle row, or if you need a pen, the ushers are here with pens and extra paper. Just take a little slip. No one is going to read this. No one is even going to see it. Just write something that is your commitment to let go. We're going to put it in the basket after we sing our song, and then we're going to burn it outside. And it will be released. So, I'll give you just a moment. If you need a pen, Trudy and Susie are passing them out, paper and pen. And please put them back when we're done, and that would be great, so we'll have them for next time. And we're going to sing first. We're going to sing hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us. And after we sing, I'm going to invite you to come forward and drop your paper in the basket. And remember, we'll go outside following the service and release them. So, the choir will join us. Thank you, Trudy and Susie, for helping with that. Trudy is collecting your slips of paper, and we'll bring them forward. Don't forget the choir. They might have a few things they want to forgive over there. And now Robert and I are going to read some words from the Gates of Repentance, adapted. I hereby forgive all who have hurt me,
all who have wronged me,
whether deliberately or inadvertently.
whether by word or by deed,
May no one be punished on my account.
as I forgive and pardon those who have wronged me,
May those whom I have harmed forgive me,
whether I acted deliberately or inadvertently.
whether by word or by deed.
May I forgive myself.
Trudy, if you'll just set those there. afterwards, we'll, right up front will be good, in front of the flowers. Yeah, right up front. Yeah, great, thank you. Don't you feel better already? I think we'll be heading out to the Peace Garden afterwards with a little fire pit and burn those up. So it is time for our offering. Today we have 2 offerings. The first passing will be the general offering for operating expenses, but we're not going to do it yet. Not yet. We got a video to see. And our second offering will support the efforts of Array, All Rainbows and Allied Youth. You may remember them. They've been here for a while now and doing good work. In our traditions, congregations exist because of the generous support of members and friends. It is our privilege and our responsibility to ensure the health and future of this fellowship. As Robert so aptly said, to this end, your offerings to support the ministry of this fellowship, whether by pledge or donation, may be online. There's several ways. Online, you can mail checks to the office, drop them in the mailbox. We are equipped to accept donations by Venmo. Payments through this app should be to the UUFCC offering. And if you would like your donation to go to anything else other than UUFCC operating fund, please, like Second Helping, please write that in the line of your check on the memo line. Your generosity is also appreciated. And if you're here with us for the first time, do not feel obligated to give. Today you are our guest. So first we're going to have a video from Hal Trejo. Some of you may know them, and it's a little long, so we may go a minute or 2 over or 3, but I think it's important that we hear what she has to say before we do our second helping.
Hi folks, I'm Hal Trejo. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. I am the board president and one of the co-founders of All Rainbow and Allied Youth, which is our community's only nonprofit who's dedicated to fighting for the health, safety, and rights of LGBTQ+ young people. You know, one of my great joys in doing this work is when I have the opportunity to be in person with y'all at the fellowship. And as you can see, I'm not doing that today. I've had this privilege stolen from me by a state that has become so hostile towards transgender people that I was forced to leave or risk losing all of the work that I've done to have better health, better wellness, and to secure the longitude of my life. This was all stolen by a state that fears the strength that comes from difference and strangeness and newness, so much so that they're legislating against the health of children, the right to learn truth and history in public schools and universities, and our inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I'm really grateful for y'all giving me the platform today to speak a little bit more on some of the revolutionary aspects of joy and happiness that I think can really build a better future for all of us. So I left Florida, now I'm living in Pittsburgh, and I can look out my window and see the haze across the skyline as the skies are filled with smoke from Canada's wildfires. All the while, I know in Charlotte County, we're still fighting to recover from Hurricane Ian. With everything that's happening, I feel incredibly called towards depression and losing hope and cynicism, as I'm sure a lot of you do too. You know, I'm only 26 and already I'm so tired. But as many wonderful folks remind me, I'm very young still. A less nice reminder of that was I had to call my mom the other day to ask how to use a gas stove. I've never used one before. The house I'm in has one, and I was really afraid I was going to blow it up. So good. So far, so good. All of this to say, I've been fighting for justice my whole adult life. I've never known what it was to just exist in my body as a transgender person who doesn't have to fight every day for my own existence. And this is not something that is just my reality. This is something that is true for so many transgender people and is only getting increased in severity as these attacks continue in Florida and across the United States. At the same time, through this fight, I've been so proud to have accomplished so much. From helping to build an organization like Array from the ground up, to running our local Pride celebration, moving hundreds of thousands of dollars as my grant writer experience allows me to different LGBTQ issues and strategies. And honestly, what I'm really the most proud of, supporting queer young people in ways that I could only have imagined and wished to be supported when I was their age. And I think of all of this to say, not to bring everybody down, but to think about, if this is what I and so many others have been able to achieve under duress and under persecution, what does a world look like when transgender people are resourced and loved and happy? Gender diverse people have always been the leaders and the storytellers and the healers of our world. From people like Wewa, who was a Zuni tribal member, and they flowed through both traditional male and female tasks as an artist and cultural ambassador to the United States during the 19th century, to right now, August, one of our youth who lifts up his family and friends and puts so much joy into the world just by being himself. This world needs healing desperately. And transgender people are the healers who are working hard to live and create a world founded on a love of what makes us different. The reason trans people are so persecuted is that we represent a future that challenges the status quo, that creates space and opportunity where there was none before, that takes a stand and says, no, we demand a future for all people in all our diversity, weirdness, and collective strength. This is the future that we're working to build at Array by making sure that our youth can find joy in who they are, that they have the resources to be their full selves, and working intergenerationally to build a future for all of us. But we need help. If you're willing, we're looking for more volunteers, and you can fill out a volunteer application on our website, allrainbowandallied.org/support-youth. We're also excited to announce that we're starting an emergency fund for local transgender people and their families to assist with costs related both to trying to leave the state of Florida and move to somewhere safer, or if they're choosing or have to remain within Florida, working to make their lives here safer. We're not only continuing to provide our regular youth drop-in programs, our hygiene and clothing closets, and our chest binder fund, we're also working actively to end youth homelessness in Charlotte County and to create a sanctuary where all young people can be their true whole selves. I personally, and I know everyone at Array, is so grateful to everyone at UU. Y'all were our earliest supporters and have championed our work over the last 6 years, which is wild to me that I can say 6 years. It feels like just a second ago I was sitting and saying, hey, I've got this really cool idea for trying to serve youth. Don't really know what it is, but let's work on it. And to see how far we've come in that time is astounding and gives me so much hope and joy. I want to thank you all for allowing us to use space for our in-person drop-ins. I know that our youth value the safety and affirmation of the space so deeply. I'm wishing you all a very happy Pride Month in all of the joy, rebellion, and love that makes Pride such a beautiful and powerful time. Thank you so much.
We gratefully accept these gifts and this music. Thank you. Now it's time for Life of the Community. You might notice that on the back of your order of service, there are announcements. We're taking your feedback and trying to have less announcements on Sunday morning and more announcements on that you can read. So on the back of your order of service, you'll see some important things like signing up for refreshments and a few other things. And like next Sunday's Father's Day, and there'll be Birthday Cake Sunday. So if you have a June birthday, come to celebrate. And today is social justice meeting, probably at 11:50, I'm going to say, on the porch. Is that where you meet? Yes. Out on the porch. So all are welcome. There's so much social justice work to do, and you might have a little fun with the people that you work with. This is the last call for agenda items for this coming Thursday's UUFCC Board of Trustees meeting. Contact Dennis Shaw if you have items to add. Important work gets done by our board, and we appreciate it. And lastly, just a tradition of something that we've done for a long time. General Assembly is coming up. The UUA will be meeting in Pittsburgh this year. And we're not going to gather that Sunday morning to watch with other UUs the morning service, but you can watch it on your own on the website or with family and friends. What's so wonderful, I think, and having been there many times, it's the largest gathering of UUs, and it will be first broadcast at 11 a.m. on June 25th and available on the website after that. So I encourage you to take that in. It's always phenomenal. So now it's time for our closing words. The truth is this: if here there is no justice or forgiveness, there will be no peace. If we cannot bring justice or forgiveness into the small circles of our individual lives, we cannot hope to bring justice and forgiveness to the world. And if we do not bring justice and forgiveness to the world, none of us is safe and none of us will survive. Nothing that we do is more important than making justice and forgiveness real here, where we are. Hard as diversity is, it is our most important task. And now we'll extinguish the chalice. LP will come forward, and please join me with our words printed in the order of service as she extinguishes the flame. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of hope, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of community. May those ideals shine in our lives and warm our hearts until we are together again. Go now in peace. And remember, following our musical selection, those of you that are interested can go outside and meet near the Peace Garden, and we'll release those regrets. Please join us in hymn number 155. The choir will come forward. Oh, no, you won't come forward. You'll stand in place. 155 in the gray hymnal, Circle Round for Freedom. come on out if you want to go. Lori, can they follow you? Follow Lori out the front door or out the back if you want to meet out at the Peace Garden and have a small fire pit fire.